So what makes up our branding? Well, your branding is made up of lots of different elements, but the most important are your business name, your strapline if you have one, your main logo, your alternate logo, your submark or icon, your fonts and typography, your colours and your tone of voice. Now, all of these visual elements should be consolidated into what's known as a branding story, and this comes in the form of a document that contains all of these elements and sets out the standards and guidelines of how your branding should look and be used. It's the blueprint that you as a business owner should use whenever you're creating visual content for your business. And it's also really useful for other contractors, etc., subcontractors. So if you're working with a separate web designer, a virtual assistant, a graphic designer, or a social media manager, you can give them this document and it keeps your branding consistent, which is really, really key. So I'm going to show you some examples of some branding stories that I've created for my clients so you can understand how these look and how it might help keep that consistent message. So in conclusion, we really want us to be remembered and for people to recognise us, know, like and trust us. And this all comes from having that consistent branding. Your branding story can really help with that. So I'm going to share my screen just now and I'm going to show you some examples of some branding stories that I've created for some of my customers. So this one is for Lindsay Warren, the Handmade Business Coach. So you can see here we have the main logos here. And we have some black and white version, we have the full colour, and this is one of the pinks that Lindsay uses on her website, so we've created that on the pink background. So that's your main logo. And next to that, you'll see that there's a submark. So a submark is often called an icon or a motif. So generally speaking, it's something that relates back to your main logo, but a submark is used as a secondary piece of branding. So it's often used in things like social media or settings where you don't want to have your full branded logo like this one. So what we've done here is we've picked out the initials, we've added in the floral motifs, etc., and we've created something that really goes well with this. You can see here that there is a colour palette. So we've picked out colours that are used within this main logo, and we've also put in some complementary colours there as well to help balance this out, because the colour palette that you're going to choose is not just going to be used within your logo, it's going to be used on things like your website and your social media and any other kind of things that you might produce for your business, such as leaflets or flyers, business cards, etc. And then you can see down here we have the fonts and typography. So we've got the two fonts in here that are picked out from Lindsay's logo. And then you can see over here just sort of how this all is being used in some social media templates that we've done for Lindsay's business. So I'm going to show you a couple of other branding stories just so you get the idea. This one, and Relax Holistic Therapies, you can see here we've done a main logo and then we've actually done an alternative logo here where we've taken this out of the circle to make it more friendly for some other settings. We've also picked out the lotus flower icon here and turned that into a submark. Again, you'll see a colour palette. So the colour palette in the logo is just the greens and whites. So these are the primary colours, but we've also added in some complementary colours here and some highlights. So these have been really useful for when Kim is creating her website and her social media. Again, we've got some fonts and typography here. A couple of them are used within the actual logo, and we've added in some complementary what's known as body text, which we'll get into a little bit further later on. Let's just pick out somebody else here. So this is for Chris Lewis Jewellery Design. So yeah, you'll see here, this is the main logo. And we have, sorry, this is the alternative logo. This is the main logo here with the bespoke jewellery and gifts. So we've taken the strapline out of this one and made an edited version of that. We also have a submark here with the little acorn motif. and then the colour palette that Chris is going to be using in her website and social media. And then we've picked out some complementary fonts because this font was actually quite a complex font, and we felt like these would be more suited to things like the website and social media. And we'll just pick out one more so you can see some differences. This was for Can We Take the Dog? So you can see here quite a lot of text in this, and then we've got the dog in the location icon here. So we've picked this out, and this is the submark. And then we've got a colour palette. Again, the logo actually only uses a couple of colours. So we've actually picked out some other complementary colours that can be used for website and social media. And then we've got some set of fonts here. So hopefully this will give you an overview of really what a branding story should look like. And hopefully you get the idea of having a document like this that you can pass to any other subcontractor, like a web designer, a social media manager. They can look at this straight away. They have all of the elements, they know all of the colors, they have all of the codes, they know what fonts to use, and it's just really, really easy to keep everything consistent.